Hey y'all, and thank you so much for joining me for this webinar today. So I decided to take one of my most popular blog posts and turn it into a video webinar to help more teachers. So the Google Classroom received quite a big update in August of 2018. And there's a lot to know, there's a lot to learn and to adjust to, even if you've been using it for several years now. So this webinar and the blog post itself are about 5 main things. Really, it's a lot more than 5, but we're going to break it down into 5 things to know about the new Google Classroom. And if you're curious about the blog post that I'm referencing, it is on the shakeuplearning.com website. 5 things to know about the new Google Classroom. And there's a shortened link for you if you want to go bookmark that or save that for later. shakeup.link/GC5. So I'm in Google Classroom, so I can go to classroom.google.com. I usually keep this bookmark up here in my Chrome bookmarks bar here. And by the way, you should be using Google Chrome with all of your various Google apps. It's going to give you a lot more features and abilities that you do not have if you're using some of the other browsers. So here I see the little cards for my classrooms. By the way, I'm in a demo account, so I have lots of little examples that I can show you along the way. Now, this US history class is the one we're going to use today. And the first thing I want to talk about, the first new thing that really stands out when you come into Google Classroom now is the difference between what appears up here at the top now. These 3 tabs are a little bit different than what we had before the update. So we have the Stream tab, the Classwork tab, and the People tab. And you know, this is a big shift in the way that we now organize things inside Google Classroom. So the stream where we are right now is now focused on announcements and posts. If you allow students to post, this is where they would show up. It also gives you some notifications in your stream when you add an assignment or anything else to the Classwork tab. So this will make more sense a little bit later, but that's why I have so many little notifications in my stream, because every time I add something to the Classwork page, there's a new notification. So I like that they've divided it up between announcements and what you see in the Classwork page, which is really going to focus on assignments. However, a lot of teachers are still really frustrated with some of the shifts. So we're going to take a closer look at some of this. So I'm going to go to the Classwork page. This is the meat and potatoes of everything that you're probably going to use Google Classroom for, because this is where you create assignments, questions, add classroom materials, reuse posts, and create topics. Okay. So initially, in the previous version of Google Classroom, this 3rd tab over here was the About tab. And that was where you could add classroom materials. So that has now shifted into the Classwork page as well. And so that's a big shift here as well. And this Create button is now at the top. Okay, it used to be the little plus sign down in the bottom right. So that's shifted just a little bit. In addition, we now have expandable rows. So up here, I have an assignment that I can pop open and see additional details. Let's go find one that has a little more information here. So this will allow me to see at a glance the instructions, the title, the due date, who has turned it in, who it's been assigned to, and how many have been graded. Now, if you want to actually view the assignment, you can click right there and open that assignment up right here. So you can see more specifics and you can see who has turned it in and who hasn't. Now, here's the other thing that's a little bit tricky. So I left the Classwork page, opened up the assignment page, and now I'm in student work. You can also go to instructions to see the original instructions, but trying to get back to classwork is a little bit confusing. So to do that, you would have to go here and then go back to classwork. So this is frustrating a few people in terms of navigation. Here's a quick workaround. Where we are right now on the classwork page, grab this link and drop it into your bookmarks bar. Okay, so you see that that says classwork. And now if I click open view assignment, I can go back just by clicking that bookmark. So it might take it a little bit to refresh there, but that's one quick workaround in terms of navigation. So when you come in here to add something, so create an assignment, let's say, this is pretty much the same as what we've seen the last few years inside Google Classroom, the same options. So we can choose to add it to multiple classes at once. So you can just check the boxes for the classes you want to add it to. You can also differentiate here and assign it to all students or one student or a group of students. So all depending on how you select that. Add your title, your instructions, if you want to keep a point value, due date, and the topic. So topics right here are going to have a much bigger meaning to you probably than they ever did before inside Google Classroom. So we're going to talk about topics in some different ways to organize your classwork page in just a moment. These little icons, same things we had before, the ability to attach files, pull from Google Drive, add YouTube links, and then of course any external links that we want to add here. And then you have the option to assign, and of course I don't have anything in here, so now we'll see that button turn. So we can assign it, we can schedule it for a later date, or save it as a draft. So this is pretty much the same. So that's just a quick review on assignments. And the same thing for adding a question. This is the same options that we had before. Now, when we go to create and we go to material, this is the new way to add materials. However, the box looks very much the same, only it doesn't have a due date. So we can still add titles, descriptions about what these materials are, and then organizing them under a topic. And I will recommend you have some sort of topic or topics designed just for materials. So, and then the last two here, reusing a post. This is how you can reuse an assignment that you gave in another class, maybe it was another class last year, but this will save you time and bring in all of those pieces back so that you don't have to copy and paste or remember or rewrite it or whatever. And then we have topic. So if you take a quick look at my classwork page, all of these highlighted bars here, the sort of dark burgundy, purplish, pinkish color, is these are my topics. Now, organizing the classwork page has been a hot topic in terms of this new organization because teachers are trying to find what works best for them. And what works for one teacher is not what's going to work for another teacher. So, I'm just going to give you some recommendations and you have to figure out what works for you. And obviously it's a little bit different depending on the grade level you teach, how many subjects you teach in one class, and, of course, just how you work as a teacher. So some are dividing by units. So you'll see here Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. This is what Google told me their true intention was in this redesign, was to allow teachers to really organize by unit or module, so that it can be in that kind of order. Now, the issue that you may face with some of these is if you have Unit 1 at the top and Unit 3 down at the bottom, by the time you get to Unit 3, students are scrolling down to the bottom. So in terms of this, you may also want to organize them reverse chronological, and I'll show you how we can move things around in just a moment. The other thing is some are organizing by week. So, week of September 3rd through the 7th, 10th through 14th, 17th through 21st, etc. So these are all topics. And, you just, when you go into your assignment, you can actually edit the topic. So if you go to edit, this is where the topic is. So you can also move them around. So I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes things didn't always go as planned in my classroom, and we didn't actually get to the assignments that I meant to get to. So we might be moving things from week to week. The other option is purely by day. And so, and to me, this seems like a little bit of overkill, but some teachers are loving it. So I just wanted to mention it, a topic for every single day. And then, of course, elementary teachers, I think this one makes the most sense for you to organize by subject area, because a lot of you teach multiple subjects in your classroom. And so organization looks a little bit different for you than it would for a secondary teacher. So now here comes the biggest problem. When you add something new into the classwork page, so if I add a new assignment, and we're just going to call this test, and I am going to add this to September 3rd, just as an example. And I'm going to go ahead and assign it just to show you what happens. So if we scroll down to where we added it to the days here, September 3rd, it adds it at the bottom of the topic, which is not always where you want it. Okay. So this can be moved up, as well as the topic itself. So these 3 dots, that was how I moved the individual assignment. The 3 dots up here are how we can move topics up and down. So in terms of how teachers are using this, when they create a new topic, it's also going to move down to the very bottom. And so they're going to have to move that up. So a lot of teachers are also doing this right here. They're just creating a topic called today, and then they move assignments up there that we're going to talk about or revisit during that time. And so they just keep moving this topic up to the top. Okay, so for instance, if I created a new topic, I'm just going to call this new, click add. Now, for me, I'll see the topic down at the bottom, but students wouldn't see this until I had an assignment under that topic. So if I scroll back up, and let's go ahead and edit this assignment. We're going to move this one to new. So now my newest assignment is at the bottom, which that is the problem that teachers are having right now. So I can move it up. However, notice I can't pin it to the top. I'm going to have to move this up several times to get it through all of my different topics here. So that's the other thing too. If you create a whole lot of topics, you're also going to create more clicks for yourself. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of that because I feel that that's where everyone is struggling. Of course, please use this little question mark down here to send feedback to Google. Let them know that you want the newest assignments on the top. I feel like that's what everybody's asking for. But if you find other glitches or other things that you want, they do read every single piece of feedback here. Okay, so that's essentially how this looks. Now, one important thing to note, if you do not see these new tabs up here, most likely it's because you created your class before the August 7th update. If so, you should be able to go down here, and instead of saying remove, you can see add classwork page, so you can add that in. And then of course, if you're in it and you're like, oh, I hate this, I don't want this page anymore, you can remove the page as well. So that's the biggest updates are really in this classwork page. You'll also see a link to your Google Calendar and to your Google Drive folder here as well. And then the last tab is the People tab. So we used to have a tab that was just called Students. So they've sort of combined the ability to add co-teachers and students and basically see your entire roster under People. So here I can use this one to invite teachers to be co-teachers in here. And then this is where I can see all of my students. I can select them all and email them from here. This also gives me the ability to email guardians. So if guardians are set up for you, or to invite guardians. And then you'll also see I have the ability to mute some students if they're abusing their privileges in posting inside Google Classroom. So pretty basic here, but that's all the People tab is about. Now, I want to click back over to show you in the stream here where the About tab actually moved. It moved here, right here on the header. So if you click on About, this is all you get now. If you are in an older classroom where you had class materials added to the About tab, you should see those pop up here. However, I feel like that's been a little bit glitchy and not working for everyone. But this is also where you can grab that class code. And so you can also get it nice and big to display that for your classroom. But that's all About has now, okay? Now, the other thing that I want to mention is the new class settings page. So this little wheel up here, this cog, this is settings that is specific for each class. So you can go up here. This is where you can edit the class name, description, room, all of that information. This is another place where you can get the class code as well as display it, copy it, reset it, etc. This is where you decide what students are allowed to do in the stream. So as I mentioned, if you allow students to post and comment, that's where you can set that, or if you turn that off. The ability to see deleted items, and this would just be for the teacher, and they would just be slightly grayed out. So you can kind of see what you have deleted if you've deleted anything. And if your school allows you to do guardian summaries, that's also where you can turn that on right here in the settings page. So the last piece, the fifth piece, I should say, of these updates that I want you to see is the new workflow for grading and assessment. So to show you this, I need to find an assignment in here where someone has turned it in, and I'm trying to remember. So here's one that has been turned in, and I can click on that, and so I can see student 1 has turned in their assignment, but student 2 is still missing. Now, if I click on this, I can see all of the documents. I'm going to go ahead and open up the Google Doc and show you what's different. So first of all, you have the student's name up here at the top, and you can see I've already assessed this one. But I can also toggle to all of the students in my class. So if I've got 30 students, I can just use these arrows to move through instead of separately having to go and open each assignment document every single time. So it's going to save you a ton of clicks. The other thing notice is suggesting mode gets turned on. And that means if I'm making any suggestions into this assignment, like I tried to delete this, it's going to green line it as a suggestion for that student. Okay, so that's what that means. If you don't like it, just turn it off and go back to editing. It's not forced, it's just by default turned on. And you'll see that we also have some new things over here. So I can see that I haven't returned it yet. Even though I've given it a grade, I haven't returned it. And there's my return button. Here's the comment bank. This is where you can add and create comments that you use all the time. Those frequently those things that you either write or type or tell students all the time in terms of feedback of what they're doing. So for me, I was a language arts teacher, so writing comes to mind. And I created these, by the way. Yours will be blank the first time you go in here, but you can add as many as you want. And all you have to do when you want to use one, so you'll see for Comma Splice, I actually put a resource link in here. So I am reminding you this is a Comma Splice, but here's a go review what a Comma Splice is. I'm going to copy it to the clipboard, and then when I find it in my assignment, I just paste it, and it goes right into that comment right there. So that's the comment bank, which is really nice. But you also see all of those files. So I can do this in every single file that I was given. And here's where I can give the grade. So it was worth 50. They got 50. And then private comments. So these are comments that only the student would see. This is like having a private exchange between you and your student. One of the most powerful tools inside Google Classroom. And then when I'm ready, I would just click return to send it back to that student. So I'm very much a fan of this new workflow. But you will notice that we no longer have the to-do option that we used to have inside Classroom. So if you come over here, you'll just hop from class to class. You do still have settings that are separate. This is for all of your classes, remember? And then the ones that I showed you earlier, this is just by class. So that really wraps up the biggest changes that we saw that came out in August of 2018. And I hope this catches you up and helps you with your assignments. Now, I do want to mention, I have tons of other tips when it comes to Google Classroom. So I regularly blog and share things on the blog. So if you haven't visited shakeuplearning.com, you definitely should take a look. And I also have an online course. And so that's what I wanted you to see here. It's called the Google Classroom Masterclass. And inside this class, I have video-based lessons. So you can see I've already worked through all of these lessons. That's why they're grayed out. But as a new student, they wouldn't be grayed. So, here's lesson 1. And this is the style of these. So I'll show you a how-to video. And you can download the videos. You can actually change the speed of the videos and the quality. So if you have any trouble streaming or anything like that. And then I show you now do. So I want you to watch a video on how to do something inside Google Classroom. And then I'm going to give you some directions on how to do it yourself to practice. And so each lesson is going to move you through that. The how to, now do. Sometimes I have some additional resources and downloads in here as well. And then you'll notice, here's all the lessons and you can see how long the videos are. But we're going to talk about creating assignments, organizing assignments, communicating with students. I'm going to give you a look at the student view, which is always a little bit difficult for teachers because they can't always see what students see. Lesson 7 is the calendar settings and archival. Lesson 8, feedback, assessment, and grading. So I'll go into depth over what we just looked at. Number 9, communicating with guardians and parents. And then I have 5 bonus lessons in here. Bonus 1 is how to package your digital assignments. And this is full of my best tips, the things that I have learned from teaching online that can really save you time and a lot of heartache along the way. Bonus number 2 are Chrome tips and extensions. So as I mentioned, Google Chrome is a fantastic companion. I consider it the learning environment for all things Google. And you can get that bonus number 2. Bonus number 3 are just best practices and tips. So for instance, how to create a custom header with Google Drawings. I'm going to show you that. Bonus number 4, sorry about that. Looks like it's computer's catching up. Bonus number 4 are all of my Google Classroom resources. So everything I can possibly give you and everything from Google I can possibly give you. Bonus number 5 is blank at this point, and I'm going to tell you why. Google has told us there's a special feature coming to Classroom that's going to allow us to create Google Forms quizzes inside Classroom, but it hasn't been released yet. As soon as this is released, I'm going to create a video for you, and you're going to learn how to do that in this course. So you can also get 6 hours of professional learning credit and claim a certificate inside this course. So this is the Google Classroom Masterclass. I'm going to pop a link into the webinar so you can learn more about it if you want to sign up there. But again, I just want to leave you with the link back to the blog in case you haven't visited this blog post. It will give you a resource to reference about all of those 5 updates that I just covered. So I hope that you will consider joining me in the Google Classroom Masterclass and we can continue learning together.